Alright, so third tutorial video. This one's just dealing with the tools and materials you're going to need to complete the project, and just to kind of give you a sense of how much that stuff is going to cost you, and what you can expect to find it. So, before I get to that though, I just want to explain to you something. Throughout the tutorial, what you're going to see me using is strictly hand tools. That's all I use to carve all of my work, for a couple reasons. One is because it's a little bit of a pride thing for me. You know, that's what and it's something I really enjoy doing, is just using hand tools over power tools. It's just a personal preference. Second, it also is the cheapest way of starting up. So if you're starting fresh, haven't done anything like this before, it's the cheapest way of getting the required tools that you're going to need to finish the project. But that being said, you know, if you have the power tools available to you, definitely use those. I'm not too, I'm not of the belief that wood hand carving is better than using the power tools. It's just a personal preference of mine, and all that really matters is the final product you come up with. So, I mean, if you're seeing something I do and say I'm going to use a power tool for that, you know, go for it, definitely. So just to kind of get into the tools that we're going to need to start up with, and some of the cost of that stuff. We're going to start off with the most basic tools: a razor knife. This is just something at a hardware store or something like that, $5 or $6 for a decent one. The good thing about it is because you don't have to worry about sharpening blades or getting a nice kit. You can just get a nice knife with replaceable blades for very cheap. And this one's a Stanley product. I like their products, but the brand is not really that important. Another tool is just a wood chisel. This is a 1/4 inch, which is what I use. We use this a lot. You'll see if we're carving out a groove for something, or if we're carving out something for habaki or anything for a recess, and even relief for suba or anything like that. So that's when this will come into play. And this is something, if you're going to use it an awful lot, you're going to want to find a sharpening stone for it and find out how to sharpen it, just as a maintenance thing. This is going to cost you from like $7 to $10. You may want to get one even smaller than this, but if you only get one, I would definitely recommend a 1/4 inch. It's a very good size to get. And again, this is another Stanley product, but again, the brand name isn't really that important. The next tool is your main shaping tool, which is just a file or a rasp. And all that is basically, it's just got a rough side and a less rough side. And this is really going to help you. This is going to be your main tool for shaping a blade, rounding the handles, anything like that. Basically, before you get into the sandpaper, this is what you're going to use. This particular one has a flat side underneath and a rounded side. That's what I would recommend getting. A quick note though about files: the more you have, the happier you'll be, in terms of having different sizes and different roughness of each of them, because you'll find a world of use for a file. So, but this is, if you only get one, this is the one to get. And this is about 9 inches long, which is a good size to get. Now, your main cutting tool for cutting out all these pieces is going to be a coping saw. This has a 4-inch cage to it. The good thing about this is the blades are pretty cheap for when they run out on you. The blades don't run out too fast. And then when you do get them, just a note, make sure you get wood blades. But this is enough to get you around tight corners, and it's a very versatile cutting blade. The problem with it in some cases is that it takes a while to saw through something, but you can take that for all the positives that you get from it. Another main thing is sandpapers. It's cheap, so get a lot of it. It's only about 50 cents a piece. So I would recommend getting bare minimum 80 grit, 100 grit, 120 grit, 150, 220, and 400 if you can find it. I know that pretty well covers the whole range, but that's what you want. You want a variety of sandpapers, so that you can get it as smooth as possible, because the smoother you get the wood before you paint it, the smoother the paint job's going to be on top of it, and it'll look much nicer that way. So definitely something to look into getting. is the most variety of sandpaper you can find. I think I forgot to mention the cost of the coping saw, and that is again $7 to $10. And the sandpaper is only about 50 cents a sheet. So that's definitely something to look into. A few other things that you're going to want to pick up for yourself: wood glue. This is just an Elmer's product. You're definitely going to use this a lot, and that's only going to be, $2 or $3 for a 4-ounce container. Your new best friend, Elmer's wood filler. This is something that kind of restores your hope and your chances of survival for this. In terms of, especially if you're just starting out, if you gouge out or you cut out too much, this is, your savior in a way, because this will sand down smooth and paint over nicely. So definitely, you don't need to get this big, huge tub, but you want to get something enough for yourself. Polyurethane, which serves as a protecting coat and also adds some shine to some of your work. You want to get a clear gloss. This is in particular a mint wax product, which is what I would recommend getting. And this is just a 8-ounce container. You may want to get even less than that if you can find it. But it's nice. Again, the clear gloss. Anything else might discolor your work or turn yellow on you, and you don't want that. So, a few more things. Just in terms of an eye for safety, I would definitely recommend getting a pair of gloves, because you really don't want your knife to slip, your chisel to slip, and cut your hand up, because that, one, will delay your work probably, and two, it'll be very uncomfortable. And even something as simple, stuff as simple as getting splinters can be easily avoided like this. And if you don't, I can tell you from experience, driving a chisel into your palm hurts a lot, and it's not fun. So this is going to be kind of something you're going to have to take my word for, because you will not always see me wearing gloves, but it's always a good idea, and I would definitely recommend it, even if you don't see me wearing them. And then in the same safety mode, also a pair of eyeglasses and a dust mask. The eyeglasses, especially if you're using power tools, not so much for the hand tools, but there's still a chance of flying wood chips, and you don't want it getting in your eye. So it's just a good idea. And then a dust mask if you're sanding or if you're doing a lot of sawing. Basically, just keeps the sawdust. And even if you're spray painting, just kind of, helps your breathing a little bit, and it's always a smart thing to do. So again, that's kind of a take my word for it type of thing, and I would highly recommend all of those, even if you don't see me wearing them. And the gloves, nothing special, just something to keep, something between your hand and the knife edge. But you can expect to probably pay around $10, or maybe less if you can find a good deal on something. The eyeglasses, you're probably going to want to pick up a good pair, just because they're nice to have around the house anyways. And you can expect to pay maybe another $7 to $10 for that. And a dust mask is only like, $1 or $2. So, small price to pay. That pretty much does it. That's all the basic stuff you're going to need. For tools, the other thing that you are going to need is your wood stock, obviously. And what you're looking for is strip pine or strip aspen. It's the best way of, your best sources as far as I'm concerned. You can also probably find it in balsa. Don't get balsa, as to me it's always been too frail and not as easy to use. And then basswood is it's nice stuff, but it's a little more expensive than pine and aspen is. So I would definitely recommend getting pine or aspen. And what you're looking for is strip wood that's 1/4 inch thick, at least 3 inches wide, and it's going to be about 4 feet long. And that's important because you need at least 40 inches long for your katana. And what you're going to need is you're going to need five lengths of it, 5 4-foot lengths, and that's going to be about $2 to $3 a piece. So probably about $15 for the wood you're going to need, and that'll actually give you a little bit extra, and allowing for any mess ups that we might make along the way. So that covers everything. Your wood, your tools, everything. So there's only one video left before we get into the actual work. It's going to be a short one on the workspace. Then we're going to get going. So we'll see you there.